Okay, but we agree there's a crisis now, right? I mean, we have that premise in common, right? There's a crisis now that needs to be reversed. Can we agree on that premise?
I'll come back to the crisis word in a moment. I just want to check something else you said. You made these claims on Fox News last week. Have a listen.
This happened overnight, okay, when President Biden rescinded the Remain in Mexico policy, when they rescinded the asylum cooperation agreements with the Northern Triangle countries, when they said, hey, we're not going to deport you when you come. So Biden has the nerve to say quietly, hey, don't come, wink, don't come here, don't come here. If you come here, we're going to give you a bus ticket wherever you want, and we're not going to deport you.
I'll come back to your Remain in Mexico and asylum cooperation agreement points in a moment. But the rest of that, Congressman, is just not true. How can you say the Biden administration isn't deporting people? Last month, nearly 3 out of 4 people encountered a
bus ticket wherever you want, and we're not going to deport you.
The border were expelled straight away under Title 42. 72% of people encountered at the border last month, apprehended, were instantly expelled. So how is what you said on Fox true? It isn't.
What is going on, guys? So, immigration. That is what the right wing has decided to latch on to and spew venom, hate, and propaganda about, because honestly, they don't really have much to go on. I mean, Biden's extremely popular right now. He just passed a bill with 75% approval, and he's kind of a hard guy to hate, you know, just for voters. It's hard to, get a rally going around just Biden hatred the same way it is a person like Pelosi or AOC. He just doesn't, bring it out in people. People don't really see him as elitist. He just doesn't piss people off the way an Obama or a Hillary Clinton does. So the right wing is really desperate to try and drum up something. And so naturally, immigration's what they landed on because it's really the only thing they can go to. And they've been milking it for all it's worth, just spreading lie after lie after lie. And honestly, until I sat down to make this video, I didn't realize how bad the lies were, including that one that Crenshaw just got fact-checked on there about the border crossings. So we're going to get into that and debunk some of the bullshit lies that the Republicans have been spreading. So let's get into it. Ah, yes, this old favorite of the GOP. Everyone on the terrorist watch list is coming through the Mexican border. Well, you can sleep safely in your bed tonight because this one is overblown bullshit. Kevin McCarthy actually tried this one out on his recent trip to the border.
It's not just people from Mexico or Honduras or El Salvador. They're now finding people from Yemen, Iran, Turkey. People on the terrorist watch list they are catching. And they're rushing it all at once.
This talking point comes after a report that came out last week saying that 4 people whose names matched ones on the terrorist watch list had been apprehended at the border since October? Yes, that's right. That's what they're up in arms about. Not only was Biden not even president for 3 of those months, but that list has over 1 million names on it and is prone to errors. Also, fun fact, do you know how many people have been killed or injured by terrorists crossing the southern border? Do you know? It's 0. Absolutely 0. Zilch. Nada. According to Mr. Dan Crenshaw, Trump's policies of Remain in Mexico and the cooperation agreements with the Northern Triangle countries was working great. But what do you say we break that down a bit? Because as usual, Mr. Crenshaw is wrong. First, a report that came out the same day as the Capitol riots, so it didn't get much attention, shows that Remain in Mexico needlessly exposed migrants to harm. Those interviewed for the report, including children, described R-word or attempted SA, abduction for ransom, extortion, armed robbery, and other crimes committed against them. And on top of being inhumane, it did pretty much nothing to stop people from crossing the border. Of the 1.5 million encounters while the policy was in place, only 70,000 people were in the program, and only a small fraction of those obtained asylum. And when it comes to the asylum cooperation agreements, here's a member of the American Immigration Council to explain why Dan Crenshaw and the right are just factually wrong.
Dan Crenshaw says the asylum cooperation agreements that Trump signed with the 3 Northern Triangle countries helped reduce the numbers at the border, and Biden shouldn't have cancelled them. Is he right about that? He says it's not a send-back agreement. Explain it to our viewers.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on. And as for the asylum cooperative agreements, it's important to note that Representative Crenshaw was incorrect. In fact, they were exactly a send-them-back type policy. Under the asylum cooperative agreements, where only one actually went into place with Guatemala, individuals apprehended at the U.S. border who are Honduran or Salvadoran were put on planes and flown directly back to Guatemala City, dropped off, and told, good luck, you have 72 hours to decide if you want to apply for asylum in Guatemala. And to no surprise, a year later, not a single person has been granted asylum in Guatemala. And more importantly, the agreements with Honduras and El Salvador never went into place, and the agreement with Guatemala was suspended in mid-March 2020 as a result of the pandemic. So 0 people have been sent to Guatemala under the Asylum Cooperative Agreement since a year ago.
So putting aside the rights and wrongs of these agreements, and there seem to be several wrongs, as you pointed out, just in sheer numerical terms, cancelling those agreements had no impact on the number of people at the border, right?
Not at all, because the agreements were not in place when Biden took office and had been fully suspended since March.
Yes, that's right. The programs they are talking about and trying to blame this on have not even been in place for a year. And even when they were in place, they were in no way what you would call a solution. Ah, yes, this one has been a favorite with the Facebook boomer Telegram crowd. You know, our favorite crowd. And of course, it's nothing but overblown xenophobic fear-mongering propaganda. And who better to spread propaganda than Miss Guns Are My Entire Personality, Lauren Boebert. So Biden is spending $86 million to purchase hotel rooms for 1,200 illegal alien families for 6 months. By the math, he's spending around $395 a night per room. How many of you have stayed in a $395 a night hotel room, huh? Lauren, like everyone on the right, is being hyperbolic and not telling the whole story about what the money is for. Here's the actual statement from ICE. ICE has signed a short-term contract with the nonprofit division of Endeavors to provide temporary shelter and processing services for families who have not been expelled and are therefore placed in immigration proceedings for their removal from the United States. The $86.9 million contract provides 1,239 beds and other necessary services. The family will receive a comprehensive health assessment that includes COVID-19 testing. So there's no mention of hotels, only beds, although it's possible that could be the case, and the money is also being used to cover a lot of the other needs of the people down at the border. And not to mention that $84 million is a very, very small amount for a country that has a GDP of $21 trillion. Just for some comparison, the military spends $84 million on Viagra. So yeah, I think we could spend a few bucks for some beds. Also, I guess the GOP outrage machine was broke last summer because not only was Trump putting migrant children and families in hotels, but he had a private security force overseeing the whole thing. Wonder how much that cost. The whole thing was a shit show, an unregulated mess that only got shut down because a judge forced them to on September 15th, or who knows, it might have gone on for the rest of his presidency. So they can spare me the fake fiscal outrage on this one. Unfortunately, this kind of immigrants is dirty propaganda has been around a very, very long time. They just figured it was a good time to try and bring it back up, fudge the numbers a little bit, and try and make a talking point out of it to cover their ass, kind of like Greg Abbott did.
The Biden administration has been releasing immigrants in South Texas that have been exposing Texans to COVID. Some of those people have been put on buses, taking that COVID to other states in the United States. The Biden administration must stop importing COVID into our country. That is Neanderthal type approach to dealing with the COVID situation.
Kevin McCarthy also tried to use the fear-mongering trope, saying that over 10% of migrants were testing positive at the border, but the head of FEMA recently spoke to Congress and explained that it's actually only 6%, which is way less than the current infection rate in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona. So the immigrants are actually the ones risking something when coming into the states. And yes, finally, let's talk about the narrative that we're seeing an unprecedented amount of border crossings because Biden's in office. This, while not an outright lie, is missing a lot of context, so let's get into it. New data actually shows that this is a pretty standard pattern of activity. An analysis of data going back to 2012 shows that the increase has nothing to do with Biden. For example, last month we saw a 28% increase, which is actually lower than the increase Trump saw in 2019 of 31% in the same month, and basically the same as he saw in 2018 of 25%. Plus we had a backlog because 2020 was so screwed up, but this is a normal pattern for how immigration goes. February through May, the numbers go up, and as it gets hotter, the numbers go down. That's just how it is. These people don't think Biden is some kind of savior. Hell, he's deporting 70% of the people that come to the border. The GOP just honestly has nothing to talk about, and immigration is kind of one of those issues that a lot of people care about, but a lot of people don't know the inside baseball of it. And plus, it's really the only issue right now that unites the really, really corrupt part of the GOP with the really, really crazy. who also happens to kind of be corrupt. Personally, if it was up to me, we would be letting way more people in. I think Biden's deporting way too many people, but that is another complex issue for another day, a different video. But yeah, that is going to do it for me, guys. Thank y'all so much for watching. Links to all my sources will be down in the description. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a like and a comment because it really helps me out with the algorithm. And if you want to see more of my stuff, make sure you sub and turn on the bell for notifications. Otherwise, you just won't know when I upload a video. And yeah, I want to give a shout out to my progressive tier patrons. Thank you so much, Gabby, Bumble Bunny, Jane, Kyle, and Amy. You guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for supporting me. And yeah, if you want to see more from me, you can check me out on TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. All that stuff is down in the description. I also have a Discord with a lot of awesome sources. So make sure you check all that out. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Peace.